From the voices that shape our democracy to the stories that go unheard, this is Pod of View. I am Benjamin Ubiri. Every week we bring you new stories and fresh perspectives on them by our analysts with me in the studio. So this week we'll be taking a look at two very important topics. The purported cross-carpeting of a former vice president and the life story of one who had served as two-time president in this country and now has gone to be with his maker. Well, today on the program we'll be focusing first on issues of cross-carpeting and moving from one party to another. The former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, has been touted as one who keeps moving, and only this week he has also announced another movement. Well, we will take a look at this as we start off. Kemi, let me start off with you.
Ladies first, I guess, today. Like you said, it's a normal thing for Atiku Abubakar, who happens to be a former vice president of Nigeria. So moving is moving for him. So for him, it's nothing new. But then again, I would say, sit down and evaluate, sir. Sir, please sit down and evaluate this movement. Right. What is it yielding?
Well, Anayo, you are in the middle of the political.
Yes, he's one man.
Somebody has come out to say his movement has no effect on the PDP.
Yeah, that's as of today. But he's a man that has been moving since 1999, and each time he moves, he has somebody on his back. Don't forget that when he left Adamawa as governor, he brought in Boni Haruna, and when he came to to become the vice president of Nigeria, he had El-Rufai on his back. And after that, he had PDP. He carried PDP from 2003 to 2007. He was holding sway. At any point in time, Atiku had people he was carrying along. But unfortunately, when the time came for him to carry himself along, those he carried along were in other parties. They had left the wagon. So I think that is where we are today. So he will keep moving, but whether that moving will bring him advantages is yet to be seen. So he will keep moving.
Well, Shugi, the coalition has not spoken officially, but with the caliber of people you already see grouping, will Atiku be a threat?
Will he be a threat? Very possibly. Wherever he is, he's going to be a threat. This is somebody who has run for every election we've seen in this country, aside from 2003. So he will definitely be a threat. But just as Kemi said, it's unfortunate that we've seen him. This is the third time he's leaving the PDP. The first two times he left, he came back because things didn't exactly pan out in the other parties that he went to. So it's very interesting. Just as Anai also said, the PDP came out and said, look, it's wherever he goes, we're fine without him. But the major question that everybody should be concerned about now, I think, is just as you highlighted with the coalition, there are a lot of people in the APC who would do very, very well in that, on the ticket, not just Atiku. We're also talking about Peter Obi, who we don't entirely know where he's going to end up running from. Oh, not yet. No, not officially, at least. He's still one leg in, one leg out. So is everybody else in the coalition for now. Atiku is the only person who has officially left the PDP, but has not come out to say, well, now I'm in the APC 100%, even though it's implied now that he has left the PDP. So yes, he will be a threat 100%, but it's just interesting to watch. And a lot of people don't seem very surprised by his leaving the PDP because it's not new. I think the hope for him is maybe this would be the time that he actually does get. He's a very ambitious person, and we do on our morning program on the radio. Every time we get callers, they seem to be able to connect every problem in Nigeria back to Atiku. I don't know why. I don't know why people do that, but yeah, let's see how it plays out in 2027.
All right, Kemi, drawing from what Shugi has just said, should we be concerned as Nigerians the morality behind cross-carpeting? Parties are supposed to have manifestos, have guiding principles, but how do politicians change their colors, moving from one party to another, and they appear to fit in?
I like the phrase, change their colors. One thing is established in Nigeria. There's no clear-cut ideology when it comes to party politics. It's a case of my interest. It's not clear cut. Like you have the Democrats, the Republicans in Nigeria. That clear cut mark has not been made. However, I said it during the last pod of view when we were talking about Peter Obi, and I said, for me as a Nigerian, I do not think I want to trust him again with my vote to say, sir, take my vote. You were in the PDP, you left for Labour. When it didn't work, you're one leg in and out of the ADC and one leg still in Labour. I wouldn't want to trust you. Atiku here again, moving again. For me, I would not want to, except you give me benefit of the doubt. I may not trust you.
Manayo, who should we trust? We have had leaders who moved from military into democracy, and then they became presidents and they ruled 2 terms. One of them just left us. Yeah. Should we just be able to trust our politicians who are just moving from one party to another? Well,
Ben, it's difficult to find one politician that has not moved since 1999. Well, you can point at the former president of St. Ahmed Lawan and Buhari himself. But Buhari moved from CPC to APC. So it's difficult to find...
and even from APP.
APP, that's right. So it's difficult to say the people, to see people that have not moved. But moving is like a way of life for Nigerian politicians because we don't have party structures. What I mean party structures, we don't have institutionalized political parties. You don't have... And PDP actually wanted to do that, establish a PDP institute where they can groom youngsters administratively that will eventually rise to the chairmanship level of the party. But that didn't work. That's why at times some people feel sad that PDP has self-destruct, that it has happened that way, has imploded. So it's a way of life. And if you're not moving, your constituents will tell you to move to a stronger platform. So if you find out that even the voters themselves encourage politicians to shift ways, and if you don't shift, you don't get votes, so they move. They're part of the problem.
All right, so or the structure may itself tell you the organ where you belong, either the National Assembly or the state government.
Yes.
I will ask you to somehow
to shift.
Shugi, what's the implication of this for the next generation? A lot of people may not have benefited from the historical facts narrated here as to how parties started in Nigeria and then the nature until they are beginning to blur the differences right now. But looking at the future, do you think younger Nigerians will vote based on individuals, or do we really understand the party structure?
I don't think we understand the party structure in Nigeria. Our political parties are not based on ideology. They claim to have ideologies, but from the character and even just from the cross-carpeting, like you mentioned, it just shows you that there's no actual ideology. They claim to have manifestos. Those manifestos clearly are not as binding as they can be, because if they were, then you wouldn't see people moving across parties just as flagrantly as they do today. For the future generation, we're already seeing a lot of people who are lacking confidence in political parties today. Kemi just said she won't vote for Peter Obi again because he's, trumping parties. The same way
I don't think she has concluded on that.
Okay, sure. But we're seeing, it's starting to affect the trust that people have in political parties. And already, the Nigerian politics was largely people-centered. It was more like a popularity contest and not necessarily about the party. The party played a role, yes, but I think we're starting to see that fade away. And if the constitution review is actually completed and we do, in fact, see independent candidacy allowed in elections, I think that would significantly transform how we do elections in Nigeria, because in that case, Peter Obi doesn't need to be a part of any party. He can fundraise on his own and stand as an independent candidate and run. And if Nigerians trust him as a person, they vote for him, not
what
the
about
party.
the place of structure?
Well, yeah, you can have a team.
It was one of the things used against him that he had no structure.
Yeah, but if he's going to run as an independent candidate, then you can build your own team and set your own structure. So if he wanted to build any form of structure in the Labour Party, it was tricky to do that because that party was already an institution on its own. And so you can't just come in from the PDP and say you want to revamp the entire thing and set your own structure in place. If you're running as an independent candidate, you can set up your own team, set up your own...
but the law is yet to allow for independent candidacy, and I think that's where...
Let's hope that happens.
Let's hope, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's hope that happens, because if that happens, then that's going to completely change.
Yeah, but we know that before the Not Too Young to Run bill, everybody was saying, let young people be allowed. They reduced the age, and we still couldn't have young people via so much. So if it becomes individual, one party state,
independent
candidacy, are we sure also people will be able to fund? Because we have seen political parties.
Well, that's the
Funding is
question.
where the problem comes in.
That's the question. So you have to find fundraisers, whether it be very rich individuals or organizations or groups come together to sponsor one person. And then the problem kind of shifts now, because then it becomes influence, right? Because the person who's bankrolling you obviously gets to be the person who tells you these are the policies I want you to put in place. But I think that's a problem we can solve when we get there. I think for now, let's actually just move past the...
Let's just be on the
Exactly.
on the ballot paper.
Yeah.
Well, there's one man who has, he had no money, as it were, and he contested for the presidency. A lot of people thought he didn't have money. I don't know whether up till his death he had money. But he ran 4 times for the presidency, in 2003, 2007, 2011, and eventually won in 2015. Well, he's the one that has just left us. He was military head of state between 1983 and 1985, and then he also became our president on May 29, 2015, and he served until May 29, 2023. Former President Muhammad Buhari, who has just left the stage. Mixed reactions greeted his death, even though in politics he was celebrated as one with influence, even when he said he had no money. People brought out their monies to pay, contributed. There was a woman who was celebrated as paying up to 1 million naira into his account, everything she had. Probably the widow's mite, as it were. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? He has left.
Did she
God rest
feel
his soul.
justified?
I will ask Kemi because there's a gender code on this matter.
Ah, interesting.
Sending
Okay.
down-
First and foremost, I would say God rest his soul. Now, it brings me. I'll draw back a little to where we're coming from. Now that woman was able to give her all because she trusted, because he stayed put. He built momentum, right? So maybe going forward, we should take a cue from all of that. He did his best for us when he was here with us as a president. I just pray that we pick the positives and run with them.
What would you remember him from?
A lot. First, the war against indiscipline, which I would really want to urge the NOA to perhaps... Can
Is
we...
this from the 90s or?
Yes, of course.
Yes, when he was military
head of state.
Head of state.
No,
not-
but let's talk about like.
No,
the
yeah, but
message.
you can't throw that away.
You can't throw
That's
that away,
in him.
Sugar.
He ensured discipline. And I think it's on the back
How
of
many
that
people
he
are still
wrote
exercising
to
that
power.
discipline
Yes, when he became a
Yes.
Democrat. When he came back as a Democrat.
How many people are exercising that discipline today? Still?
Anti-discipline.
Because my parents trained me.
Yes,
not
because your
Buhari-
parents were
not because Buhari did
disciplined by
anything.
Buhari.
but then for when he became president, when he was president as a civilian president, something stood out. Even though yes, they didn't really move from being initiative to full implementation. They stood out for me. One I would say was the Anchor Borers program in the agricultural sector. Seeking to ensure that, all thanks to him, we now have local rice.
Yeah.
Yes, they may not be as fully polished as you would want them to be. Sugar, I see that look. But it's
Before
something.
we used to eat rice once every Sunday.
Yeah, God bless you. Uncle Ben, it's only once every Sunday. But now you can do rice,
Yes. In fact, rice has replaced every other staple.
Yes, God bless you, sir. Lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Did he?
Sugar, I told you I saw your look the other time.
Did he actually?
Well,
share
we will come back
Sugar,
to
calm
we'll
down.
come back to Sugar. Sugar, I know you have a lot on your...
We do not have the data yet to justify all of that, but I think he did his best. Also for Empower, conditional cash transfer to women in the market. His vice president was actually seen distributing that funds in the local market. I mean, the guy did his best to the best of his ability. You cannot take away the fact that if you want to do something, you're trying your best, saboteurs were always coming. You can't take away that
So for
fact.
you, he
But
was good. It was a pass mark.
He did his best.
60, 70, 80%.
Ben, don't put me on that spot, please.
We'll come back for the scorecard.
Okay.
Anayo.
Buhari meant, I don't want to waste your time. Buhari meant different things to different people.
Yeah.
For me, I remember 31st of December 1983, when my father came back from the government household and said, look, soldiers have sacked us from work.
Sugar said we should not go back to the
No, we
military.
have to. We have to.
Okay.
So he,
That memory is still there?
yes, it's still there. He came back, a box full of food items.
Did your father eventually get another job?
No, he didn't. A box full of food items for the end of year party. And so Buhari was the first person to truncate a democratically elected government in Nigeria. So he shot Shehu Shagara to power for whatever reasons. And he came on.
It was on issues of corruption. Do you think he
Well,
fought corruption?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. So he started very, very well. Then again, when he came in 2019,
Yeah.
people felt, what Kemi said, the disciplinary soldier, that could help us. But a lot of people can attest to the fact that he didn't do well. He brought in nepotism. A lot of people can attest to it. This is not my opinion. He brought favoritism. He allowed his sentiments to certain groups to show openly. People can still say he forgot that he was president.
Yeah, but what about infrastructure? He worked on rails, roads.
Yes, you can point to, for instance, people talk about the second Niger Bridge, which was started as a result of what President Goodluck Jonathan did. He finished it.
Dangote Refinery came on board.
Yeah. So, but if we want to go down, the Southeast can say, look, we benefited from that. But there was also Operation Python Dance 1, 2, and 3. So some of those who lost their lives during that exercise.
Has the python stopped dancing?
Well, I don't know. So that's why I said.
So for you,
he meant different things to different people.
Okay.
For me, I'm a journalist. At least I should be able to balance. But I don't think I'll be able to give him.
You are free for bias. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't think I'll give him. I'll give him just 30%.
30%.
Yes.
That's fair. I mean, with the way Jam and
Let
Wayek is
my
happening
people
now,
go.
he may even get admission.
30% for me.
Shuge, I mean, well, I have to agree with Anayo in saying that he meant a lot. He meant different things for different people. But I think what
Did
person...
he mean well for Nigeria?
Absolutely, he meant well. Absolutely.
So what happened?
But I think, and this is my theory. I might be wrong, and let me put it out there so I
It's
can hear your
okay.
thoughts on this. I think President Buhari came in with a lot of potential, with a lot of plans. If you remember when he came in,
There was
in
a body
fact,
language issue.
exact, the whole body language thing. As a matter of fact, persons who had stolen money before were going to drop the money
Yeah.
because
There
of
was
a
the
fear
popular
of
Masugudu
yeah,
song.
you know, all of that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think he came in with every intention to do the right thing and to genuinely transform the country. Just as you said, this was somebody who people more or less crowdfunded for to sponsor his campaign and things like that. But I think at some point, I don't know where it happened. I don't know if it was halfway through his first term or maybe into his second term. Somewhere along the line, President Buhari became complacent.
The
And he
political
just-
landscape changed.
However you want to call it, he became complacent. And I think that's something that should never happen. If you sign up, you carry your money and say you're going to join a political party, you're going to campaign, you went to all 36 states to campaign to become president of this country. At no point, even if anybody puts a gun to your head, at no point should you become complacent, because this is something you asked for. This is something you wanted. You're not applying for a job. You're not just applying for a job in some company somewhere. You're running for president of the country. And millions of people came out to vote for you. So if it means you dying in that seat, then you do that. It's a sacrificial job. You're not supposed to become complacent. And I think that's what happened with President Buhari. Maybe the pressure was too much, or I don't know what it was, because obviously there were probably a lot of things going on behind the scenes. But I think somewhere along the lines he became complacent. And if that's the case, then you resign honorably. Not do what he did, which was basically just thug it out. Allow me to say that for the rest.
He also had, during his tenure,
Yes.
we faced 2 recessions. And
Yes.
then he came up. People said he braced up and challenged it. You don't agree?
2 recessions that you can argue were caused by him.
It was a global issue.
Yeah, it was a global issue, but again, Nigeria is already we're already in
Maybe
a deficit
because
of
of our
sorts.
oil and other
Yeah, and things like that. Look at what he did when he came to agriculture. He had every good intention with the rice thing. He closed the borders. What did that do for rice? What did that do for rice? It shot up the price of rice across the country.
Won't you blame us for not taking advantage of the fact that the borders are closed? We go into agriculture.
There was still
And do local scale up local production.
there was still insecurity in that time. So people were still going to their farms and getting kidnapped and getting killed.
There were no anchor borrowers.
So I mean, you can one way or the other trace it back to him. I'm not saying he was a terrible president. By no means was he a terrible president. I think he did his best, especially during his first term. But I think his second term, I would have just rather seen him resign honorably and someone else just take the reins.
Well, thank you very much, Shugi, for that point. I hope that Buhari's son, who is probably being told to come and join politics, may become your friend someday and maybe appoint you as a minister.
We'll be very good friends, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you, Shugi, and thank you, Anayo, for coming on the show. As Nigeria turns a page on the era of Buhari and new politicians join new gangs, we say thank you very much for being on the show. It's the podcast, the pod of view, as it were, on Democracy Radio. Thank you very much. I am Benjamin Obiri, and we'll see you again next time.